One final time for Division II College Hockey South play from the Panhandle, a competition that not many people expected on paper between both of the number 2 seeds, with upsets being pulled both in the quarterfinal round and in the semifinal round. The Blue Raiders, a magical season for them already. They're headed to AAU Nationals for the first time in program history in a couple weeks, but they look to double up on trophies here as the number 7 team in the country. Meanwhile, the number 6 team in the country on the other side of the ice, the South Florida Bulls, with a close win against Vanderbilt in the quarterfinal and then an upset on the number 1 seed in the South in one of their rivals in Clemson, managed to get here to decide who's going to win the Ameritrans Cup. Welcome to everyone watching around the world. I'm Spencer Thompson alongside Brady Palmer as well as Ryan Lee. We also got Vashay Mamatatsi as well as Cam Cirilla on ringside. Proud to be with you in Coral Springs, Florida. Brady, such a highly anticipated matchup. We were talking beforehand, this is probably going to be one of those big boy hockey games, and it's a big part to Middle Tennessee. But one thing I want to talk about in particular, how about
Cal,
Aiden Kopech and
SC
his
warm-ups.
amazing goaltending from last night's semi?
I think Aiden Kopech, when you talk to the team afterwards, they laid the entire game entirely on his shoulders as they felt they didn't play as good as they could have. And Aiden Kopech making some very strong decisions, good plays out there, not only blocking pucks but making very brainy decisions, covering pucks in certain places. And his play has certainly been a difference maker for this MTSU hockey club.
And I'll bring you in on this, Ryan. We've certainly got a lot of stars on the ice for the South Florida Ice Wolves, but that upset against Clemson, they already had a close win against the Vanderbilt Commodores in the first round that propelled them on their momentum. But this game, that game against Clemson last night, it's going to be a very challenging matchup for the Blue Raiders.
Absolutely, and you consider some of the firepower that both teams have had between Middle Tennessee and for South Florida. These are two sides who can absolutely provide some heavy punches. You have 9 combined goals for the South Florida Bulls. Between the two matches with Tampa and Middle Tennessee State, you've got a combined 8 goals as well. So you're gonna have some high-flying attack on both sides.
And they're about to do introductions, but let's hound down to Vashay, who's standing by with one of the players.
Keller, what do you think about this big game for the school? And not only for that, but for the whole USF hockey program. What do you think?
Well, it's been a numerous amount of years. It's been almost 5 years now that we have been in a championship game. So playing in a game like this is really, really important for growing the program and just bringing this team together. It's really cool to see.
What's it like being able to play and practice with a guy like Grant Dietz all the time? Like, what's it like being around him? Like, what's he like as a person?
He's an awesome dude. It's really fun to be around him. He's always got a smile on his face. No complaints, nothing bad to say about him.
Thank you for your time, Keller. Have a good one.
You too, man.
Guys, back up to you.
Appreciate that, Venetian. Players spending time with us beforehand with the introductions about to get set. We'll hand it to our public address announcer to set the stage for the Ameritrans Cup. How much of a privilege is it to have those type of pipes?
I was just sitting there thinking about how amazing that guy's voice was singing. Wish we had his name to give proper credit where it's due, but what a great rendition and a great tradition that we have singing the national anthem before these games.
South Florida, Middle Tennessee, both teams are destined for Jacksonville for AAU Nationals in a couple of weeks, but you talk to anybody on the ice here, not at all on their minds in terms of getting to the tournament. It's a privilege for them to have that selection show just happened on Thursday as they were making their preparations for the Cup, but it's kind of like how you have conference champions, March Madness right around the corner.
Exactly.
You have those conference championships that are the focus for them, even if they have a guaranteed bid heading to the next stage.
That's what I've had to explain to a lot of people around Middle Tennessee. I want to touch a little bit on what the player for South Florida mentioned, talking about exposure for the school, and it's been amazing to see what has happened with MTSU and the engagement that we've been getting from the MTSU community. I know I was talking with Coach JJ, 300,000 interactions on Instagram last month just with the MTSU Instagram page. Just absolutely amazing what it's doing for both of these programs.
And with that, we're underway from the Panthers IceDen, and a shot right on net. Kopech stands tall in goal after the shot got off from Fleer Willisey. The South Florida team 8-1-1 at home, 10-4 on the road. Another shot on net, and the goaltender in Koch gets the save. The freshman goaltender heading into this tournament has been a star in the 11 starts he's had on 13 games played, 88% on his saves, 688 minutes total, but he's gotten the job done for the most part when he's needed to against Vanderbilt and Clemson.
One shot both sides, both goaltenders with good puck control, stopping the rebound, taking away second opportunities.
Another save by Cook as he gloves it down.
Again, that's going to be huge. Both of these teams do like garbage goals. We talked about that in MTSU's first game against Tampa, and how controlling rebounds so important. Going to be very huge as both teams love to swarm in front of the crease.
Another slung shot, and Cook is already having to stand to attention with some of these shots coming from various places. As we were talking about yesterday in that semifinal, dirty goal still counts as a goal no matter what stat line it is. MTSU very much known for it. You're seeing a lot of attempts in the previous Division III championship game of players and teams. This will be gloved down by Cook again. You had a lot of players who were trying to get those deflection shots to in front, moving screens, which usually, especially when you have a good goaltender, is how they find one on net as that gets slung high by Uhrig. Back to the neutral zone. Middle Tennessee will take it down to Mumbrum, trying to weave it in. Another shot. Could not find the net from the stick of Ogle, who has scored 4 goals on the weekend. Ogle's got it again, and he'll sling it again. Cook with the save, trying to get the backhand was DeMumbrum on another save, and this puck will be patted down by Cook.
One thing that's going to be huge for this MTSU squad is just going to be watching that quick release, and we saw that a couple of times here in just a second. I believe you'll see that from Brendan Ogle on that replay, just immediately turning around and firing it on quickly. Cook going to have to be very quick, as many players on this team has a very quick release.
Ogle scoring 4 goals on the weekend, scoring a hat trick in last night's game against Ole Miss. Pretty much if I'm not mistaken, he essentially had the game-winning goal from their 4-1 victory against the Ice Rebels. And Middle Tennessee even mentioned they were thankful for Ole Miss and having to face them off because of their upset against Florida Atlantic in a quarterfinal that could have gone either way.
It was interesting talking with the coaches about whether or not they wanted to see South Florida or Clemson. I believe they really wanted Clemson again, just for familiarity's sake. Might have had something to do with not having to battle against Grant Dietz as well. He's a one-man wrecking crew. You look at their statistics, he leads in all statistics, points, goals, assists, penalty minutes. MTSU shares that all the way across with 4 different players.
And considering that, you also have Ogle on the other side. That's going to be 2 huge counter punches. Who's going to get the big haymaker?
Another great save in front by Kopech as he gets the pads on the puck. This will head down to the other side. Giblin trying to ladle it in towards the net, and South Florida contains the zone. There's Bonas with a fight for it along the boards. South Florida trying to get a shot on and be wrapped up by Kopech.
So far, both goaltenders looking strong, good positioning, and good play and controlling rebounds.
Yeah, you can see that on the setup on the replay there. He's got the breakaway trying to weave it around. And Kopech, not a surprise, the star sophomore from Fayetteville, North Carolina, has been phenomenal. 91% saved on the season heading into the playoffs. And likely with only 3 goals allowed in 2 games. This will go down for icing. I'm sure that number has gone up maybe a little bit, maybe up to the 92% margin.
He definitely looked good. I forget how many shots he had yesterday, but it was somewhere in the neighborhood of about 30. So only allowing 1 goal in 30, that's gonna increase your save percentage for sure.
And you mentioned Kopech has 3 goals allowed in the entire tournament. Cook has allowed 3 goals in each of the 2 games. So there's also the matter of who's going to stop the final shot, probably the potential game-winning shot by the end of the third, Cook or Kopech.
You look at numbers at both teams averaging about the same points per game.
As that gets gloved down by Cook.
Good shot there by Siciliano. And that's something that MTSU really likes to do. They love to take that shot and try to get the rebound off the inboard to come back in and, again, take that rebound in, but easily played by Cook.
This Middle Tennessee team, as mentioned, coming off of losing 3 straight of the regular season games, have a win against Ole Miss 3-1 before losing to them again 2-7. That was at Ole Miss on the road, and then hosting Florida Atlantic, 2 losses where they lost by a combined score of 13-7. As you got some great chances in front here for the Blue Raiders. Sling this back around, Yesnak, and gloved down by Cook.
Time on attack really being controlled well by MTSU to begin this game. You know, South Florida going to do everything they can to fix that. But controlling time on attack, a huge part of whether or not you're successful in a game.
Lima back on the blue line to the other defenseman trying to deal it in there was Placentia, as this goes back into Middle Tennessee zone. Blue Raiders will fend it off. Jacob Placentia, the sophomore from Franklin, Tennessee, fends off the danger, as Palmer will take it into South Florida zone. No changes for either team, so an offensive attack cooking here for the Blue Raiders. DeMumbrum trying to weave it through traffic, and it's a stick save off of Cook. Blue Raiders set up again. Lima goes right into the glove of Cook.
Obvious game plan for MTSU up to this point. Just put pucks on. Take shots, take chances. Eventually something going to fall.
And you have some of these teams throughout the entire tournament. MTSU's one of them. FAU's another one. Volume can really get it through just by sheer probability alone. It's worked for FAU, even though it did against Ole Miss, but it has worked for the Raiders so far in this tournament.
Lima back from the blue line. Another dump in. They'll get this along the boards. Ogle trying to work his way around. Got it back to Placentia. Lima. Lima trying to deal it through just outside the post. Ogle gets checked into the boards. Middle Tennessee keeping it on, and we've got a penalty here.
I believe the
or
net is
dislodge.
off. Yeah. And that's unfortunate for MTSU, as that puck was coming right up into the center of the slot, and they're getting ready to turn one loose on Cook. But those are the breaks. And you have different styles in goaltenders. I haven't seen Cook play up to this point other than just in snippets. But a lot of goaltenders like to push off of those posts, and if those posts aren't anchored in well, then you'll get a lot of pucks dislodged, or nets dislodged, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the fact that we have not had it seems like every game we've had at least 3 times minimum where the nets have gotten dislodged on both sides on this rink. But the good news is they fixed that divot problem near the WM logo, because we haven't had that today. Now, granted, only 2 games in, but haven't had that issue. As this will go back.
Hope you didn't jinx us.
Yes, announcer's jinxes. That's a pad save from Kopech. Squeeze behind the net. Difficult for the goaltenders to decide which direction they turn their neck, especially when behind the net, as the danger is fended off. Looked like in the air it was Cavallero, as this will get gloved down by Cook.
Good decision by Beechler to dump that in and let that bouncing puck go in. See if you can get Cook discombobulated. Those bouncing pucks tough to judge when you're a goaltender. And if nothing else, you stop the play down deep in the zone. MTSU gets a face-off just to the right. Goaltender Cook.
And Cook, as he gets another save, it bounced off the pad and in and out of his glove. Great awareness from the freshman, who is no stranger to this rink. He grew up 25 minutes from the Panthers IceDen, and he's played a lot of big games in this rink as it's fending off a scissor of the puck away. Good work on the defensive side by Middle Tennessee's. That was Schneck. As this will go back around the boards.
Starting to get more of a sustained. The puck gets caught up into the glove of Dylan Holtberg, and but starting to get more of a sustained pressure down in the MTSU zone. But you know that's what South Florida is looking for at this point, trying to even things out.
So actually, a lot of the guys from the Middle Tennessee bench are actually from the state of Florida as a whole, but they made their way up to Tennessee. So you're going to have some kind of homecomings for those guys as well, the Raiders.
They played a lot of games down here in Coral Springs. Remember, these club hockey teams, player dues are what make the majority of their travel funds. As that's another shot that goes wide off of South Florida. Another fire rocket from Dietz, who had 2 goals in their contest last night against Clemson. This will get bounced along the boards as Dietz gets it back up the middle. Kept on side, looking for the pass and could not get it off. No penalty. DeRizo had a good pass, but could not get the connection there with Dietz. Now South Florida controls it back in their own zone. And we got a whistle.
They're going to bring it back down all the way into the South Florida zone. I don't know what the call was.
But we've already seen about 6 3/4 in about how the speed is really going to be the faster. It looks like both the Raiders and the Bulls, they want to try to outrace each other, but sooner or later, the gas tank will empty by the end of the third.
13 minutes and change left to go in the first period. Middle Tennessee trying to fire it down front, and a dangerous chance there as Bonas will fire it in, couldn't get the deflection from his teammate in Rogers. This will sling back around the boards. And fend it off. Middle Tennessee will reset, take it back over. Beechler got it back into the neutral zone. Another moment of squeezing the puck along the boards. Right in front of the scores table, too, the penalty box. Name's slipping my mind, but the College Hockey South staff representatives there operating the scoreboard and game sheet over there for the championship game. They have gotten a lot of fans chirping at them at one of the harder jobs to do on the ice.
It's so funny that they get so bent out of shape. The scoreboard is a courtesy.
Yep.
You know, it is by no way official. It's a courtesy. Just let it go.
And that'll be an icing. Let's head it down to Cam Sarafian.
Of Middle Tennessee, and he thinks this team is very complete because most of the players on the team are actually from the area. And like I said, because of that, he thinks that this is a very complete team, a very competitive group, and he likes what he's seen so far.
And you've seen it all season long. You're absolutely right about the competition as that puck goes in front of the net. South Florida still possessing and a padded save away off of the shot from DeRasp. Along the boards, a poke at it with several players. Middle Tennessee trying to clear it back up. South Florida will pass it back, trying to crash the net on the shot, and a save by Kopik. Urig got the shot off.
Want to take a moment just to say hello to everybody tuning in. The replay, good cycle and circulation by the South Florida squad down on the boards. I'm able to turn that into a good scoring opportunity for the South Florida Bulls.
Had some good shots thus far. Not a whole lot of scoring opportunities that we've seen here throughout this contest, as Wrench will pass it back up. This gets sent back into a Middle Tennessee zone, trying to weave it around. Another one that was Fleer Wilsey, who had the chance, if he had possessed the puck, to get a one-timer in.
Good defensive work there by Donovan Yasnak to tie him up.
This goes back out and almost offside there. As this goes back out to the neutral zone and into the backside of Middle Tennessee's section of the ice, possessed there by Placentia. The Bulls keeping the pressure on for the last several minutes as that deflects out into the mesh.
As I was saying earlier, glad to have everybody aboard. Looking at numbers right now, got 320 live streams. Pretty good numbers for a College Hockey South game. Certainly higher than anything we've seen so far, and it's a wonderful thing that College Hockey South does to be able to bring this to families, parents that can't be here in the stands. And speaking of which, good crowd here for both squads.
Bounce back around the boards for Middle Tennessee to reset and try to get the offensive play cooked up. This will go back out to the point. Pass intended for Ogle and went too far and back into the stick of Cooper, who mishandles the puck himself. And Palmer could have tried to capitalize on it for a spritz set of skating to the net.
I think he pulled off quickly because I think he thought DeMumbrum was going to be offsides. Yep. Don't think he would have been, so unfortunate for MTSU.
Palmer with a one-timer on Cook. Goes off of his pads. DeMumbrum keeps it on side. Scissor at it. Ogle has a shot opportunity, and it's gloved again by Cook.
And something I like to see from MTSU is all the shots that are being taken and the forwards crashing the net. Again, looking for those garbage goals and just applying pressure down low. I do want to take just a split second and make sure that all the fans out there understand that I have been doing play-by-play for MTSU for the last 4 years, and so my allegiances, as you might notice, my last name matches one of the players' last names too. My allegiance with MTSU, but I will be as honest and as fair as I can be in this. Spencer, I know you're going to be fair and as. Even though you graduated from MTSU, you have no allegiance either way.
See, the difference is I've got a neutral-colored suit on, black and white. I know we don't have the camera stuff. You were mentioning beforehand, you've got a blazer that has your voice of Blue Raider hockey that you mentioned you guys haven't lost the game since you were. So still having some superstition.
100% superstition.
That's why we're not on camera, so you can't see the bias, but
I have a face made for radio anyway.
I've heard that many a times too.
To be fair, they say hockey players are the most superstitious people out there. So I can't blame any of you guys.
Matches the superstition of the players he covers as Schenk got it in, and somehow through the screen, Cook managed to grab it.
We talked a little bit. I had to take something into the locker room, and the locker room's here very, very small with all the all the bags laid out. There was really no room for feet or anything in that locker room. I thought, how are these boys going to do it? They didn't want to change anything. They didn't want to move to a bigger locker room. They didn't want to have two. They wanted to keep things exactly the way it was. Face-off violation whistled by the trailing linesman. Looks like that's going to be on MTSU as they'll get a warning.
One of my big questions is those little things that may add up over time, because in this game, an inch can turn into a mile just like that.
Cook again being tested at the front of the net, and the amount of times that he's had to just wedge it between his pads thus far, only halfway through first period. Feels like the shot numbers have gotten to double digits at this point.
And I will find out. I will be able to find that out as Professor, and another face-off violation, as Professor Don Roy for MTSU, keeping the stats for our team. So I'll go down and find out shots and face-off percentages and things in between periods.
Yeah, usually he's sitting up here next to us. I didn't know if he was.
Well, he's down. He's behind the MTSU bench.
Okay.
That's why.
Sitting behind the bench today as South Florida has a potential breakaway. The shot could not get on. Great defense as McKeeve, the graduate from Russia, could not get it on net. The graduate student, one of the international players on this South Florida Bulls squad. These get slung around looking for the backhanded shot. They couldn't get Kaliwa to get it on net.
Great look by the Ice Bulls as they had a As you said, they had Kalia coming in and skating in completely untouched. Great opportunity for them. MTSU got to shut that down.
And you already know that from this being a conference final, you've already seen a couple of these opportunities get blocked because players are committing to protecting their goalies. We've seen a couple block shots on both ends already.
Yeah, and that thus far we had a couple of times where the goaltenders wanted icing to be called. It was waved off by the officials. As we keep action going on, a body block there by Wrench. Middle Tennessee tries to get it back in possession, and they do. Siciliano gets it back, and the pass intercepted, intended for Wrench. It was picked off by Welch. Two players just mentioned, Welch and Siciliano, as that goes into the bench area for the Blue Raiders. Both of those players scoring a goal this weekend. Siciliano scoring in their opening matchup against Tampa, and Welch last night against Clemson.
Face-off so important, as possession means everything in this game, and South Florida coming away with the face-off there.
Again, they don't keep the statistic for the amount of puck time each team possesses, but at least through 12 minutes, I would not be surprised if you have it almost dead even by a couple seconds as Palmer gets the puck back. And he'll weave it back around. Palmer, they'll get it back out to the blue line, but they have to reset to prevent it from being offside as it's sticked away by Cook. Cook will sling it up. This gets off of the stick of South Florida's Dietz. He's back in Middle Tennessee zone, and they did wave off icing. As a deflection off there, South Florida will have to reset again, stay on side. Slinging it towards the net, one of the more dangerous moves you'll see. Bonas could have caused an own goal there. As this goes back out, DeMumbrum to the neutral zone. And DeMumbrum, it's a body block on the puck. Swing this back out to Ogle. DeMumbrum will keep them all on side. DeMumbrum, they have numbers with the shot, and Cook gloves the puck down, but almost an own goal for Middle Tennessee.
And a lot of the own goal from Middle Tennessee, that was just from an inadvertent deflection, but that last chance from MTSU was because USF, they were struggling to get the right bodies on the ice. They had two guys in the defensive zone for a little bit there because three of them were from the bench, so they got there late, and that's why MTSU got a high danger chance.
Another fired shot, just essentially off the face-off, and almost found its way over to Cook again.
There was the note I made about the block shots.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Goes back off of boards, and MTSU will clear the zone, and chasing it down, waiting for someone to wave off the icing. They do, as they were close enough chasing the puck. Back in South Florida zone, a fight for it with Middle Tennessee, almost into the stick possession of Yesnak. He's also in company there. In pursuit was Siciliano as they tried to crash the net. Here goes back to Ras. Middle Tennessee with a shot fired from the blue line by Ratliff, and no problem for Cook.
Any team that does their homework against South Florida knows that the guy you've got to contain is number 17, Grant Dietz. And so far, sound like MTSU's game plan has worked, as Dietz's name only come up once or twice throughout the first 14 minutes of this game. And we'll see if MTSU can maintain that.
Yeah, the 20-year-old from Batavia, Illinois, is only a freshman as that bounces on the backside of the net. From here, it looked like it went in as the net gets taken off.
Hey, that did go in, of course, from the wrong way.
Yeah, it did. It's tough on these bleacher side. At first, I was waiting to see if there were any celebrations, but no goal.
Well, the puck did actually enter into the goal, but it came in through the backside as it was lifted up. So I don't think that will count.
Doesn't look like it. No celebrations
probably
on there.
not.
We mentioned all weekend about the officiating crew. They've rotated different officials and linesmen throughout this weekend here between the D2 and D3 tournaments. Don't have the exact names of who's working the games right now, but imagine the amount of skating they have to do. Their legs have to be sore after this weekend.
But really, so far, I believe that for the most part, been without controversy. I think they've been very well officiated games here in South Florida.
We had it last night. So you weren't at the last night's semifinal between Clemson and South Florida. Those fans would disagree with you on that because they were a bit frustrated on several things going on. But at least from the games we've seen here, for the most part, it's not been a problem.
as a fan, you're always frustrated, with the officials.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you consider how early on in the tournament, the refs were calling almost everything, but as the tournament's gone on, the referees also need to get acclimated into the tournament as well, so they've swallowed it more and more as these games have progressed, and there were not many penalties in that D3 final that we just saw.
3 teams on the ice. Palmer with the shot. It gets in, goes around the post and hooks in, and Middle Tennessee is on the board first.
That whole thing was made possible by Brendan Ogle as he skated down the side, battled away for the puck, caught Palmer coming down the near side on the slot, and as you can see, hits him right here. Palmer patiently goes up, and it just ricochets around the net, goes in, and MTSU going to grab the first goal of the game at 14 minutes and 37 seconds into the first period.
And I mentioned on that last little break that sooner or later, both of these teams, they're going to fly, they're going to get their opportunities, they're going to get theirs. A bit of a defensive breakdown by USF, both of them committing to the far side. No one was on the near side to collect the shooter. Palmer, that's why he gets it, top corner, 1-0 MTSU.
And it will be scored, Palmer from Ogle.
Ogle on the assist, Palmer on goal, number 26 on the season. That'll be pending any other assists on his statistics. That's point number 44. Here's another opportunity for Middle Tennessee. Donovan Yesnak on the shot. He scores! Both of us calling that one as Donovan Palmer has got goal number 2 for the Blue Raiders.
That'd been Donovan Yesnak.
Yesnak, yeah.
But unfortunately, Matt Siciliano, something happened to him as he was coming down the ice. I did not see it, but the MTSU faithful were jumping up, and Matt is a wet hen, to use a southern expression. And Siciliano able to get up and skate off under his own power, but really favoring that right knee. The huge blow for MTSU as their goal leader is going to the bench. We'll see what happens with him. Maybe get a report from our sideline reporter, Cam Scarella.
And this was one of the things that we just mentioned about the semi-controversial calls, the whole MTSU section. They called that one because, you had Siciliano try to make the transition. He got impeded along the way. They wanted the interference call. I think they would have had a case, but it doesn't matter because they scored on the same drive up the ice, and it becomes a 2-0 game for MTSU.
Siciliano going to get the assist on the goal by Yesnak.
Cancellation prize, I guess, for taking the injury. Lay your body on the line and help make the play.
See, I would have been right if Palmer had gotten on the assist saying Donovan Palmer, but that was Donovan Yesnak, the senior from Wyandotte, Michigan, has got goal number 19 to put the Blue Raiders up 2-0. And that's what we've seen from the Blue Raiders throughout the remainder of the games. They like to score early, and the only challenge they had was, if I'm not mistaken, they were tied 1-1 at the end of the first period on their semifinal last night against Ole Miss.
Spencer, going to give you some love, too, because you've done a lot of these games with no familiarity with the players on this team. Remembering names and stuff, that's tough.
Here's another slide for the shot going wide of the net as South Florida tries to get pressure. 28 seconds in between goals, too. So quick scoring, and have to look back at the box scores if Middle Tennessee has scored more than 2 in a first period, and another opportunity in front of Coella. Aaron Coella, the junior, trying to get on the board for his team in this first period.
You mentioned it, looking at it, that's the 3rd goal for Palmer in this tournament. Just the first goal for Donovan Yesnak so far. Lots of points for Brendan Ogle, as that'll be his. He had 4 goals, and that will be his first assist of the tournament, so 5 points total for him.
I tell you, Coach was getting tested there with a couple more shots from Middle Tennessee, as we talked about how phenomenal Coach has been. But so now really hard when you have that one-on-one opportunity to defend those shots, especially because it rung around the post. Very good shot and very lucky break there for Yesnak.
Yeah, a half inch, and that's bouncing back into play.
Yep.
I think Dono would tell us that was all skill.
This will get dumped back in. They would have ruled it offsides at Middle Tennessee, gone to possess it. And Palmer fighting for it. It's back over in Ogle's territory. Pass it over. There's another shot that goes off of the shoulder pad of Coach Yesnak, looking for another. Back out at the blue line, they'll switch it over to Lima. He'll deal it in, try to get the better of Koch, and gets it gloved out.
Really nice save by Koch as he went in and able to maintain that rebound.
And one other note about the goaltending on USF, he likes to stand very far in front of the goal, not a whole lot of space in behind. That could absolutely benefit MTSU, especially if they get in those greasy areas. Tap-ins are most likely bound to happen for the Raiders if he continues creeping up and up, especially on those forechecks for MTSU.
Quick pursuit, Lima on the side of the boards. Lima gets the sling around here. Here goes Cook, another goal, and Yesnak has got goal number 2. 3-0 Middle Tennessee.
Donovan Yesnak, a very streaky goal scorer for MTSU, dangerous at any time, but he's one of those guys that when he gets hot, he really starts to play.
This play only starts because the attempted clear by USF was unsuccessful. MTSU just continues to get sticks on sticks to prevent any breathing room for the Bulls. They were unable to do so there. They were stuck in their own end. MTSU circles around, gets discombobulation from the Bulls, and that makes it 3 for MTSU. One side note about the Raiders as well, each of their first 2 games, they were only scoring 1 goal between the last 2 games of the tournament, had that tie versus Ole Miss as well, as they're up 3 with 2 and out, with just under 3.
All of that in the first period, what you're talking about there, Ryan.
Yes.
Yes.
But think about that, though. 2 combined goals in the first period of the first 2 games, 3 goals in the first period, and we still have 3 minutes left to go in this one. So this could maybe play out the same way we just saw the D3 game go with Florida and South Carolina, where it got out of reach rather, very quickly.
Yeah.
And I can't see that happening with the way these 2 teams have matched up so far. I think MTSU just in good positioning and had some lucky breaks so far. You know South Florida going to battle back and not going to go quietly into that good night.
And you said a couple of times when we worked together that most dangerous lead is 2 goals. Well, MTSU's got 3 right now, so they at least have some cushion, but so far it's been well disciplined as that puck bounces off of Ogle, was not anticipating it. He's got it back over to Mumbrum, and he loses the puck. It'll go back out to the neutral zone. Banas sling it back in as it bounced off of Welch. Welch with the switch. Mumbrum in the area as they keep fighting for it with the Bulls. Back along the boards. This will send back, goes off of the stick of a USF player. He's got a protesting that is Duhamey, saying that it went off of the stick. We got a high stick it called, but he was saying it didn't go off of his stick. It went off of Middle Tennessee stick, which, if that's the case, should have been icing.
Did not see it, so I cannot comment. But the trailing linesman coming down and having a discussion, so they may be trying to make this right. Which, if that's the right call, then that's what needs to be.
The body language, I think, on the USF bench on this shot is saying so much. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. This picture, in this way, if you want to take the picture of the USF bench and the picture of the MTSU bench, you got 2,000 words right there, and they're heading different trajectories.
We talked during the Tampa, I think it was during the Tampa, the Ole Miss game, about how all the Ole Miss players were sitting on the bench and all the MTSU players leaning forward. Both teams up on the boards actively. They're really engaged in this so far. Referee's still trying to figure this out.
Yeah, they're having a long discussion about it. I wonder if it is the icing call that they're discussing or the high stick. I think they might also, because the signal was high stick, I wonder if they're going to give them a penalty on that.
They're going to come over and explain something to the MTSU bench as well as to South Florida.
Doesn't look like anybody's going to the bench, but they're facing off in the neutral zone.
I don't think there was anything that would have been a penalty in that situation. I think it's just a matter of was it a high stick? Was it icing? Who touched it? And I got a feeling the answer is we don't know. So we're just going to put it in the center ice and continue to play, which is fair enough. I would always want the right thing to happen, but if you don't know, then do something neutral.
A shot from the point fired off as that goes off the pad of Cook. And that'll head down, it waved off on icing with Middle Tennessee player being close in pursuit. That was Beechler. Blue Raiders will try to reset And as they get this past the blue line, goes off the skates of the official. South Florida tried to dump it in off of the boards, and Middle Tennessee recovers, even with the official getting in the way on the puck. Doesn't happen often. You even see some of these linesmen jumping up on their skates, which is a tough thing to do as Cook gets the puck.
You know, I'm a little bit biased, but I was sitting here thinking during player announcements, I don't know that there's a kid on the ice has better flow than Beechler. Just watch him going down the ice. That hair is just a flapping in the breeze.
Trying to remember, I think they called it Goldilocks, or they call it locks in terms of the players who've got that hair flow in hockey.
You know, and they did a contest last year for the player with each team that had the best flow, and did a big contest, and I believe that a player out of UT ended up winning the popular vote for that.
Let us fly.
Exactly.
As it's saved again by Cook. It's outside of the point from the shot. I believe that was off of Yesnak who took the shot outside. And another face-off in South Florida zone. Minute 15 left to go in this first period. Blue Raiders have come out swinging with a 3-0 lead and another stoppage in play.
Good to see Matt Siciliano back out on the ice after taking the injury to his knee there. Must have worked that out and feeling better. Of course, a lot of these players are not going to miss a shift.
Siciliano probably not wanting to miss as much time as he can.
Not in a conference final, at least.
Especially not a conference championship.
100%.
60 seconds left. Blue Raiders get the interception. Wrench has got a player to pass to. Great breakup there by Urig to prevent the opportunity. As this goes back into Middle Tennessee zone, a fired off shot. Kopech gloves it in.
Really good defense as Urig right there in the passing lane managed to get a stick on the sauce pass and send things the other direction and put pressure on the MTSU goal.
49.2 is what we're left with before we go into the intermission. A lot for the Bulls to talk about, specifically the Ice Bulls, in terms of how they can go forward in another shot that goes wide of the net. That was pretty much off of the face-off there from Coella. Send this back around and gloved again by Kopech.
Kopech dialed in again today. Looking calm and collected. Saw him prior to warm-ups, and he just is as laid back and easygoing as he always is.
Send back another fired shot. That was McKeeve. As we see Middle Tennessee try to defend this and prevent any sort of momentum for the Bulls heading into the intermission. But the Bulls keeping as fiery as ever. Back on the right side, Bulls trying to sling it in off the deflection. It's patted down, and we've got some shoving.
That was some really, really good work by number 22, Tyler Stowe, to keep the puck down low.
And we've been mentioning his name all broadcast, Aaron Choliwa. He's really been dynamic offensively. He's been getting a lot of the greasy areas. However, it was enough to get underneath the skin of the MTSU defenseman Lima, which is why we'll have the first power play opportunity of the game.
Yuli Lima going to get, I'm assuming, 2 for roughing, cross-check. And MTSU, having been very disciplined so far, only 1 penalty in last night's game, going to go to the box at an inopportune time now.
And this penalty will spill over into the second period, so not a lot of time for the Bulls to work with as they get a slinged high shot. Well, Middle Tennessee is just going to waste out the puck, slinging down on net, and that'll do it for the end of the first period. Blue Raiders have come out swinging in incredible fashion to go up 3-0 here on the Bulls of South Florida. As we're waiting on Cam to get with the coach, waiting for all the players to clear out and everything before we sign off to get the Zamboni out, and both teams will get a chance to rest and reset. The goaltender talking to the official here from Middle Tennessee as well. I know you talked about this team is really good at their communication and talking about with everybody on the same page, and not anything angry or disrespectful, but making sure they have a conversation. So let's hand it down to Cam Let's hand it out to Cam, who's with Middle Tennessee's coach in J.J. Murray.
The goaltending has been stellar. You guys have a 3-0 lead with 3 goals in 3 minutes. How do you guys run off this momentum?
The boys just got to keep it going. We know that we can score at a rip. Our main focus these past few weeks have been D-zone. We know our forwards can score at will, so we'll just keep bringing the energy, keep forechecking hard, keep creating turnovers, and keep getting shots on net.
Being up so much so early, how do you like things so far?
We like it, but we always preach it's a 60-plus minute game. So we take it. We play 3 games, 3 20-minute games. So we won the first game. We got to win the second game, and then we'll win the third game.
Good talking to you, Coach.
Thank you.
Goals from Palmer, Yesnak twice, Palmer once, and that's why Middle Tennessee is leading 3-0. 11 minutes until we get past the intermission in the second period. A total of 40 minutes left until the Ameritrans Cup is claimed here in Division II for college hockey. Start of the second period is hopefully underway. There's an issue on the ice, so something you very rarely see. The Zamboni ran out of gas. Like, it just stopped in the corner of the ice, and I don't know if we could get a camera shot of the official. I don't know if we could get a camera shot of the official that's over there on the ice, but talk about the officials putting forth the effort and the work there. Fixing a patch on the ice where the Zamboni was weighted there, because they're not meant to just stay in one place and way down on that ice. It's supposed to just continuously go. So they're fixing it out. Commissioner Nell was also out there asking about what the delay was and what was going on. So, but anyways, let's go down to Vasish.
Imagine here on the USF Ice Bowl sideline right now. Not a great start for the Bulls, finding themselves down 3-0 right now in this period. Shots were 24-12 right now. Talking to some of the players and the coaches right now, USF just needs to get more shots on net and try to find a way to get back in this game. And it all starts off with this early power play. Guys, back up to you.
Now, this is not meant in a disrespectful way in any measure, but Coach Rhodes, before the game and talking to Vasish, trying to get a play or something, they said, we want to focus on winning a game, and we don't want to do any interviews. Always thankful whenever coaches or players do that. Always respectful whenever they decline. But that was before they were down at this 3-0 deficit, especially in the at halftime. They still were talking to Vasish, but you could tell that South Florida really just wanting to lock in and focus on a game, and makes sense why they're not giving us any media availability.
I have to respect that entirely, because in the end, you're here to win a game. You're here to focus on that. If it makes sense to do media, then it helps to enhance the game. But in the end, that the main goal is just go out there, win a game. And if you feel that's going to be a distraction, you got to step away from it. Vasish did mention shots 24-12 in favor of the MTSU Blue Raiders. Faceoffs fairly even, with MTSU winning 20 and losing 17.
But I do want to make a note about that faceoff thing, Brady. The location of the faceoffs. A lot of them have been within the blue line of the USF end of the ice. Not a lot, and a couple of them in neutral as well. We have not seen Kopeck have to look to his immediate left, look to his immediate right for the draw. However, that's been Ryan Cook having to deal with that, and that maybe adds the pressure building on the game, because you know there's a draw next to me, there's a draw next to me. As time builds up, just that increased pressure, eventually you're going to get cornered and you're going to get just suffocated by the end of the game.
And we talked about we don't keep up with time on ice, or time on attack, and I have to think that, watching this game, it is clearly in favor of MTSU up to this point, although I would probably guess about 60-40 when you look at time on attack. But MTSU just really putting a lot more pressure on the Ice Bulls side of the rink. We'll see if they're able to continue that, as they will switch sides. The referee's still working down low. Going on.
Yep, just got off the phone with him. He gave us the same information about the Zamboni died, and it's made a hole in the ice, actually. So that's why they're taking so long with this. And they said it was one of two options where they would need to shift rinks because of that. And he said that's not something they're willing to do, because I think there's a public skate going on in the other rink. So they're trying the best they can to repair this hole in the ice, which player safety number one on this. And certainly that's why they're trying to repair. But, yeah, again, we were mentioning how Zamboni cannot sit on the ice for that long because of that kind of thing happening. So, and the other factor as well, 1:48 left on the power play in favor of the Bulls. So almost giving me vibes of Super Bowl 47 with the lights delay and how that shifted the momentum. This could be beneficial for the Bulls.
Well, and you think about just even scheduling last night, as MTSU had the early game and the Bulls had the late game. So MTSU able to get back to the hotel, have dinner, go to bed, get a good night's rest. The Bulls, MTSU watched the end of the Bulls game and went to bed. The Bulls still had to go home, to go back to their hotel. They had to go get dinner. They had to eat and stuff. So, it's going to benefit the Bulls some, as it's going to allow their legs to regenerate and give them some more opportunity to, like I said, just regenerate some energy.
And, we mentioned that it's going to be a power play coming out of the break, and I think we have to look at the overall game picture by itself, right? South Florida, they have by far the most power play goals of anyone in CHSD2. They have 20 more goals than the second place team, the Florida Atlantic Owls, and we've been praising all tournament the work of Coach Christian Long, how he's able to make his operation work. But for the Bulls, they're kind of in a similar boat in terms of how they take advantage with a man up. So if you look for an opportunity to maybe chip into this 3-goal deficit for USF, the next 148 could absolutely be that opportunity, especially because of how efficient and how strong South Florida's power play has been all season long.
You look at the team stats coming into this game, where MTSU has a 1 goal per game advantage over South Florida. South Florida allows 0.3 goals more per game, so that's very even. Penalty minutes a big factor there is South Florida averaging 22 minutes a game to MTSU's 8. But like you mentioned, 2.2 power play goals per game versus 1 for MTSU. That's a very large differential, and that's a game changer.
Well, we've got staff coming out now for the Panthers IceDen as they're trying to fix this major divot. Looking like they've got a huge bucket and everything to try and fix this. Which again, they're looking at it. It's a pretty significant hole. It's hard to see from our vantage point, but at least where they're looking at, again, I imagine it's tire shaped, like flat line.
Yeah. And it may have also been kind of where the auger and the grinder's sitting, and at that point he was not able to lift the auger up off of the ice, and so that probably sitting there and applying pressure on there with the hot water coming in, just ended up melting a big spot in the ice.
Yep. Let's go down to Vish.
And Vishesh announcing right here, as we have just found out that USF goalie Ryan Patrick Koch is done for the night, and in will come backup senior Zachary Lennox, number 31. Guys, back up to you.
Yeah, goaltending change for South Florida. Again, you talk about momentum swings, and this amount of stoppage is definitely going to have some sort of shift here. But South Florida changing their goaltenders, that very significant on that side.
Especially because you consider the regular seasons that these guys have had. Ryan Koch, he's a first-year player. He has 11 starts in his name, but he has a losing record. He's 3-7-1 in the regular season with also a lower GAA on the season, 882. And then you look at Zach Laniak, a sophomore product, Wesley Chapel, Florida. He's a bit of a smaller netminder, but he's very shifty. He's able to read those plays well. Very, if you want to compare an archetype in CHS, Rocco Bruno would be that for Laniak. But Laniak, 10-5-1 in this season off of 15 starts. He's over 900 in terms of the saves, and he did win his last start in the regular season finale against the Central Florida Knights. So if there's a chance for USF to get back in this game, we mentioned the power play earlier, how statistically dominant they've been. You make a goalie change who just on paper alone, we don't know about recent performance, but just by the raw stats, has performed better in Laniak. So this could be potentially not just one momentum flip, but maybe a chance to take those two and swing the pendulum and make that swing even greater.
Not only that, but you just look at experience as you look at the numbers. Cook having played 4 games up to this point coming into today. Zachary Laniak with 15 games. So we're going to have a 30-minute delay. Oh, goodness gracious. As the PA announcer letting us know that we're going to have a 30-minute delay as they will continue. Excuse me.
Well, as you mentioned, they just announced in stadium on the PA system we have a 30-minute delay because of this divot, because, again, they have to have time for the ice to freeze, and, again, player safety issue. So they are going to fix this, and, again, because of the other venues they have booked tonight, they can't shift this to another rink. It's just not an option for Panthers IceDen. So we are going to step aside. They say it's a 30-minute delay for this to get frozen over and fixed. So end of the first period, 3-0 in favor of Middle Tennessee. ladies and gentlemen, the announcement has been made that the Den is going to be the new host for the Division II championship game due to the ice issues here on the stadium rink. So we are going to move everything over. This stream will stop. We will try to get a new link up and get situated to broadcast the remainder of the championship game. So we will try to be back here as soon as possible here on the CHS YouTube page, but we are moving over to the Den. Stay tuned.